Hello and welcome to Mad About Sports. Of course, today we are here to analyze the India versus England game which just got over. As of course, with a heavy heart, a lot of Indians have to take another loss in an ICC knockout. It just keeps coming, isn't it? It just keeps mounting on every Indian fan that the ICC knockout hurdle is yet to be crossed. It's since 2013 that India have been losing consistently in that final hurdle. It all started off when India lost the final against Sri Lanka in the 2014 T20 World Cup final. And everyone thought last year's T20 World Cup was a huge debacle for Team India because they couldn't just go to the semi final. It was a group stage exit. But after last year, there was a new management put into place. A new captain took over Team India for the hopeful hunt of the ICC trophy, but it still is yet to be there. And India is now officially knocked out of the T20 World Cup and in a manner which nobody expected. India were absolutely decimated by the English batters. English batters came out with an intent. English batters chased that score of 169 down with 10 wickets in hand and with 4 overs close to sparing. So it's a shocking loss for an Indian fan, and it's a shocking loss for a lot of people to even take up to. But we are to know where did India actually go wrong. We don't want to be sitting here and talking about it is a loss, as everybody knows it's a loss. But let's objectify it, let's substantiate it with data, let's substantiate it with the absolute data as to understand where did India actually go wrong and what can India possibly do better in future of their games in T20 format, because T20 format is a format which India is yet to crack, because the modern day game has evolved in rapid pace and it has really caught up with India as well. So let's bring up and understand how Indian batters went about in today's game, because Indian batting was a concern for Team India leading into this World Cup, and especially the top two batters. And we did do a video on that as well, how Indian openers were struggling. So if you understand from this graph, as you can see it right now, when you see that graph in itself, Rohit Sharma played a knock which was quite tough and which did put pressure on the Indian batters. If you look, KL Rahul was dismissed once again cheaply. One could say is debacle in ICC knockouts of scoring less scores continues. And Rohit Sharma once again over there, scoring 27 runs or 28 balls at a strike rate of 96.42. Definitely questionable. And then it was up to Virat Kohli to rebuild it. And Virat Kohli towards the end couldn't just get going as well. So it definitely did not help India to get that middle over flourish, which is so important in a T20 game in the modern day. If not for Hardik Pandya's final flourish, where he batted a strike rate of 190 and he scored 63 runs, that is really what India, that's what really helped India to reach a respectable score of 169. Also, this possibly could have been a 150, 140 odd kind of a finish for Team India. That would have been even more hurtful, and the pressure would have been definitely on the bowlers. But on a batting surface like Adelaide, where India could have possibly up their run rate, that's where India struggled. But now, if you look at the balls and balls percentage consumed by the Indian batters, you can understand that now this is a very important stat, right? Because this is what really tells the story as to how the match went about. And Rohit Sharma consumed 23% of that 120 balls which was there, and he was just able to score 16% of the runs. Now, if you're saying that if he's consuming more personal balls than the number of runs you're contributing for the team, it definitely creates a negative impact on the radar, and it definitely did create the negative impact for Team India. Now, when you look at KL Rahul, you can at least say he did not waste balls. He got up for a very mere score, but then Rohit Sharma 27 runs to 28 balls is a definite question to be asked over here. Even to an extent, Virat Kohli, you can possess a question to him. Was 50 or 40 balls really the need of the hour there? Could he have really scored a little more faster rate? But the fact of the matter is, you have assigned an anchor role for Virat Kohli in the team, and he's been continuing to do that, and you've backed him to play that brand of cricket. So around him, it's their duty to score at a faster rate. Now, the biggest question of it all, you have sent Surya Kumar Yadav at number 4 today to tackle Adil Rashid. And at the same time, maybe India had a tactical blunder there. So let's understand what was the tactical blunder which India made. When it comes to that entirety of Rishabh Pant was in the team as left-hander to take on your leg spinner with shorter square boundaries. But you did not really get the most out of him. You were bringing him at number 6. So was it good enough? That's a question which Indian management will have to ask or introspect today. Maybe that's a tactical blunder, in my opinion. When you look at it in data wise as well, you will understand Rishabh Pant was not even utilized. It's in T20 cricket, it's about optimum utilization of the resources what you have. And entry points of every batter is so crucial in a T20 format when you compare it with any other format. Henceforth, you can say the utilization of Rishabh Pant was a negative impact for Team India ultimately, because Rishabh Pant could have made a possible entry after Rohit Sharma's wicket, because that made Adil Rashid and Liam Livingston to ball in tandem, which helped the English captain Joss Butler, because today he knew he was short of Mark Wood, who was injured. Henceforth, he did not have a middle overs enforcer or a middle overs bulldozer like bowler like Mark Wood, who can come in and really reduce the run rate and pick up wickets in the middle. But what you made Adil Rashid do was you made him to ball at a very minimal run rate. You also made Liam Livingston a part-time bowler to finish a quota of 3 overs there. So it's a question which Indian management will have to ask. Now, if you look at English batters on the other end, because they had close to the most perfect game today. Just look at the way in which uh, Josh Butler batted. Just look at the way in which Alex Hales batted. They were just brilliant today. They were just absolutely on top of their game when it comes to the way in which they approach this game. They exactly knew when to take the charge and when to exactly accelerate at the right moments. Now, if you look at the runs faced with runs scored versus the balls faced, the percentage really tells the story as well. As I already spoke about the Indian team, they did chase it down quite comfortably with close almost 4 overs sparing. But look at the runs scored with the number of balls faced. They only faced 41% of the balls. Josh Butler scored 56% of the runs. And when it comes to Alex Hales, he scored 61% of runs at just 39% of the balls faced. So it in itself sees a story as to how England were much more adaptive, much more aggressive in their intent, and it's so crucial when it comes to T20 format as well. And that's why I totally believe, or the T20 format in itself believes, or the T20 format has reached a stage where you need to really up your ante. You need to bat in a certain template, because there was a lot of hue and cry before the T20 World Cup regarding the way in which this modern day batting needs to be approached. And today's need of the hour was to bat in a certain fashion or to get out of the shell. Because often with Team India, what we've seen is that the team gets into a shell which is unable to break, due to which it really affects the entirety of the team. Now, this is the entire summary of things. Now, if you just look at this entire graph, you could see the power play batting. 38 runs in 6 overs is not possibly good enough in a T20 format. And that's been India's template throughout the course of this tournament. KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma haven't been giving India those starts which India actually deserves. Virat Kohli is coming into bat in your third over or fourth over, which really puts you in a backseat from the word go. KL Rahul got off to a good start today by hitting the first ball of the match for boundary, but yet again just scoring six of the first over and then falling off to Chris Wokes, looking tentative. Something which he will be pondering upon, something which Indian selectors will be seriously looking into his position in the team as well. And henceforth, India just ending up on 38 runs after 6 overs, whereas England and 3.4 overs were 39 runs in itself. Speaks a story of the match. Now, when we talk about middle overs, India did lose 2 wickets there, but then look at the run rate which India were just going, and India was just going above 6 runs per over, even less than seven. Maybe not good enough for T20 format, except for the Hardik Pandya flourish towards the end, which really helped India to reach that 168. Or else you could have seen India even fall to a 150, which I already mentioned. Whereas England continued at the same run rate throughout the course of the innings, which really enabled them to set the momentum on. They knew from the word go, the moment they started off in the power play, the game was in their hands. They finished the game off right and there in the power play by batting at a certain template, targeting the ballers, fluttering with their lines. And henceforth, a lot of questions needs to be asked. Should Rohit Sharma have used someone like a Yuzvendra Chahal just for this game? Something which Rohit Sharma will have to really ponder upon as well. Maybe Yuzvendra Chahal was the need of the hour. Now, if you look at that pitch, even experts like Owen Morgan did come out stating that today was a kind of pitch tailor made for leg spinners, bowlers who take the ball away from the right handers, because as lower you ball, more you got the turn out of the pitch, and more you got the bounce out of the pitch, which Yuzvendra Chahal is a master at. You saw Adil Rashid how he bowled. He was bowling very slow through the air. He invited the batter to go after him, and Surya Kumar Yadav fell into that trap as well. Hence, I would say maybe Rohit Sharma missed a trick in not playing Yuzvendra Chahal in this game, and something which Rohit Sharma in itself will have to really look into now going ahead. Now, possibly now what is going to happen is that India will now take tough calls, one might say. India will take next tough calls going ahead into the next World Cup, and the tough calls will it be of dropping the big names? Something which we'll have to wait and see, because next T20 World Cup is maybe 2 years away, if I'm not wrong. 2 years away from now, 2024 is where the T20 World Cup is set for Team India, and that's where India will be really looking at the format or the kind of approach they've taken in this T20 format, and change and create an entire overhaul in the format in itself, and bring in some young blood into the team. Hopefully India does that. Maybe they'll be able to do that successful. Now, ball by ball breakdown, this is a very interesting stat, because now if you look, England just batted 16 overs. They had scored 23 boundaries in 16 overs. And now when it comes to India only managed to score 22 boundaries in 16 overs, and England they played 31 dot balls in that 16 overs, which in itself says a story or two. But when it comes to India, India were also inefficient in taking the doubles today. Something which India have been doing quite well in the past few years, where India have been able to convert doubles into triples or singles into doubles. Today they were inefficient. Where England on the other end were able to run almost every of their run into convert singles into doubles, which India were inefficient today once again. And India playing on close to 7 overs of dot balls. Technically speaking, this was basically a 13 over game for Team India. You played 7 overs of dot balls in a against a bowling attack which was considerably weak, with the likes of Markwood not being there. Something which Indian batsmen will certainly have to introspect and question their approach as well. And maybe going ahead, you might see a different template. That's where I was very critical about as well, as I mentioned earlier. Now, when we look at the Pacers versus spinners in itself, now if you look at England Pacers, they went at 9 runs per over, they picked up 4 wickets. But when we look at England spinners, now this is the turning point of the entire game. Well, they just picked up 1 wicket, but in 8 overs they balled, they just went at 5.86 runs per over. That is a serious stat when you compare it with Indian spinners. Indian spinners likes of Ashwin and Akshar Patel on a wicket which was aiding spin to an extent went at 9.50 runs per over. That in itself says how England were prepared enough to take on Indian spinners, and Indian spinners' length. Also, I don't have a pitch map here, but England spinners' length and Indian spinners' length also was a difference. Ashwin once again was trying to dart the ball in, where the pitch was aiding spinners to ball slow and give it the grip. Maybe one can question is defensive approach once again, and Akshar Patel again darting the ball in, not getting anything out of the pitch. Now Indian bowlers, every of their ball except Arshdeep Singh and Akshar Patel. Akshar Patel, you can say that looks good on the figures, but his impact was of no use, to be honest. His impact did not really reflect on the way he bowled. His bowling was very wavered. Every other bowler, every other main bowler who performed well throughout the course of this tournament had gone more than 10 runs per over. And especially like so Ravichandran Ashwin going close to 14 runs per over. Something which Rohit Sharma had no option, but he had to turn to Hardik Pandya to save the day, but he also couldn't. Now, Arshdeep Singh, a question which or a question on a tactical error maybe Rohit Sharma made was not giving Arshdeep Singh that second over in the power play, where he actually bowled the first over pretty well, where he just gave away 8 runs. And it really did call for Arshdeep Singh to bowl another over. You never know. With Josh Butler and Alex Hales batting, they both do not like left arm seamers saving the ball into them. They both have struggled. And Alex Hales, especially this World Cup, had just managed to score 25 runs prior to the India game against left arm pacer, where he got dismissed twice as well. Something which has been quite concerning. Now, when we have already done an episode on Indian openers, but certainly so, I would like to mention a stat which has been quite alarming for Team India at this point. A stat which Indian openers wouldn't certainly like to see. Rohit Sharma, the entire tournament, has just managed to score 116 runs of 109 balls at a strike rate of 106. KL Rahul has just managed to score 128 runs of 106 balls at a strike rate of 120. And cumulative runs, when you put in Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul together, they both have scored 245 runs of 215 balls at a strike rate of just 113. So certainly major questions needs to be asked on Indian batting template and their opening pair. Maybe going ahead, at least you will see some changes. You will see maybe some of the big names stepping down. So do comment below and let us know How do you see Indian team lining up, and what is India's biggest downfall in this T20 World Cup? And can India get better now? India have got 1 year to prepare for the major event which will happen in India from 1 year. That is a 50 over World Cup. So of course, the focus will be on the 50 over World Cup starting from now on. So, but can India ignore this debacle, or can India really get past this and really put their eyes on the 2024 as well? Or can India actually rejuvenate themselves by putting in some young blood on the field, looking at the 2024 World Cup and see how things go from there on? So do let us know that in the comments. And it's been a disappointing day for all the Indian fans. Hoping that you all get some good action going ahead in the future as well.